The Compton Varrio 70s. Legacy, rivalries, and the impact of a notorious barrio. The Compton Varrio 70s, CV70s, also known as Compton Varrio 70s or Compton Varrio 70s, is a Mexican-American street gang that originated on Compton's east side in California. As one of the oldest Latino gangs in Compton, CV70s has a distinct presence, marked by its 3 separate turfs within the city, a rare and influential claim to the territory. Formed in the early 1970s, the gang emerged in response to the challenging social and economic climate that defined many urban neighborhoods during that era. By the 1980s, CV70s had expanded significantly, with membership peaking at over 300 individuals. Known for their fierce loyalty and willingness to defend their ground, the CV70s quickly gained a reputation as one of Compton's most dangerous Hispanic gangs. This notoriety stemmed largely from their intense rivalries and violent clashes with other gangs, securing CV70s a lasting and formidable place in the city's gang landscape. Origins and expansion of Compton Varrio 70s. The Compton Varrio 70s, CV70s, started as a small group in Compton, bound by a shared sense of community amidst the challenges of urbanization. Their neighborhood, primarily located along Alameda Street between Alondra Boulevard and Compton Boulevard, became the core of their territory. Initially formed by Mexican-American youth facing systemic socioeconomic difficulties, the gang grew steadily in both numbers and influence over the years, branching into cliques like the Chicos and tiny Locos. Although their turf lies on Compton's east side, they identify with the south side and are aligned with the Mexican Mafia or Sureños. CV70s even counts Dennis Ortiz, also known as Woody, among their ranks as a full member of the Mexican Mafia. This gang's moniker, 70s, is rooted in its founding decade, a unique choice that adds a sense of historical pride within the Southern California gang culture. The 70s, Spanish for 70s, is one of the few gangs in the region that chose a numeric reference based on its inception, making it stand out among other barrios. Key rivalries and the bloody feuds. The CV70s' growth inevitably led to territorial conflicts, particularly with other Hispanic and African American gangs within Compton and nearby areas. Among their primary adversaries are the Compton Varrio Tortilla Flats, with whom they share one of the most violent Latino-on-Latino gang feuds in Compton's history. Their rivalry extends beyond Hispanic gangs to include various Crip sets, such as the Acacia Block Compton Crips, Spooktown Compton Crips, and the Farm Dog Compton Crips, as well as a deep-seated animosity with the Looters Park Piru gang. This specific feud has persisted since the 1980s, partly fueled by the Looters Park Piru's alliances with other Piru sets and their historical affiliations. Their long list of enemies is extensive, including not only nearby Compton sets like the Compton Varrio Trace, Compton Varrio Segundo, Compton Varrio Largo, Compton Varrio 155, Compton Varrio Chicano Gang, and Compton Varrio Tokers, but also formidable Los Angeles-based gangs like 18th Street and Florencia 13. Despite Compton Varrio's 70s being primarily a Mexican-American gang, their reach and impact have led them to clash with various ethnic and cultural groups, often resulting in prolonged violence. Unveiling a deadly October night. The Compton Varrio 70 gang's role in a tragic chain of shootings. On October 5, 2005, an ominous chain of events unfolded, led by members of the Compton Varrio 70, CV70, gang, a Mexican-American street gang notorious for its violent presence in Compton, California. David Guerrero, the CV70 leader, allegedly orchestrated a series of 3 calculated shootings that targeted rival gang members, particularly those affiliated with the Piru gang. This operation led to significant violence, culminating in injuries and the death of a Piru gang member, leaving a tragic mark on the community and escalating the long-standing feud between the CV70 and their rivals. According to accounts, the sequence of events began with David Guerrero instructing fellow CV70 members, including the defendant, to participate in the shootings. The defendant, who denied active membership in CV70, admitted during interrogations that he was associated with certain members, although he claimed limited familiarity with many of them. On the fateful night, Guerrero reportedly commanded the defendant to drive a car carrying other gang members as part of the coordinated attacks. First shooting. The gas station attack. The first incident took place at a gas station, where Guerrero's orders set the wheels in motion. The defendant allegedly drove a vehicle with two CV70 members as passengers, who exited the car upon reaching the station. Shortly after, gunfire erupted as the passengers reportedly opened fire on Charles Smith and Jasmine McKinney, using both handguns and an AK-47 assault rifle. Both victims were wounded but survived the attack. While the defendant claimed he did not witness the shooting, he admitted to hearing gunshots and seeing his passengers re-enter the vehicle afterward. This account underscored his alleged role as the driver during the attack, despite his subsequent attempts to downplay his involvement. Second shooting. Drive-by on Gibson Street. Following the gas station incident, the defendant proceeded to a second location under Guerrero's instructions. Arriving on Gibson Street, one of the passengers allegedly leaned out of the front passenger window and fired shots at a nearby house with the same Alaska 47, escalating the violence in the residential area. The defendant described feeling intense fear and uncertainty during these events, claiming that he was not in a position to refuse participation due to threats from the other gang members. Final shooting. Targeting the Looters Park Piru members. In a chilling final act, the defendant drove to a parked car occupied by Dewan Ferguson and Melvin Walker, both members of the Looters Park Piru gang, which has a long-standing rivalry with CV70. As they approached the car, a passenger from the defendant's vehicle reportedly fired upon the two Piru members with the AK-47, killing Walker and wounding Ferguson. This final confrontation marked the deadly culmination of a night filled with violent intent. Interrogation and denials. Over the following months, law enforcement conducted two separate interrogations of the defendant, each providing a more intricate picture of his alleged involvement and shifting claims. In May 2006, during the first interrogation, detectives reminded the defendant of his Miranda rights before questioning him about his knowledge of the shootings. The defendant denied being a CV70 member, claiming only limited interactions with Guerrero and Joe Toledo and distancing himself from the moniker Nappy, which he attributed to an acquaintance outside the gang. The detectives conducted a second interrogation on March 1, 2007, during which the defendant received a renewed reminder of his rights. This session revealed more details about the defendant's ties to CV70 members. He admitted to knowing Guerrero's brother, Danny, and stated that he had been at Guerrero's house on October 5 to play Xbox with him. However, records later contradicted his statement, showing that Danny Guerrero was incarcerated at the time. During this interrogation, the defendant further described his reluctance to engage in the violent events that night. He recounted how he was ordered by an unidentified CV70 member, later identified from a photo as Jose Encisco, to go for a ride. The defendant explained that he initially went along out of fear and that the entire incident spiraled from there. He claimed to have been threatened with a gun and denied any prior knowledge of the firearms used during the shootings. According to his account, he only realized his passengers were armed after the shootings began. Despite these claims, investigators noted inconsistencies in the defendant's statements. For example, while he initially denied recognizing the firearms used, he later admitted to seeing an AK-47, a distinctive weapon featured in each attack. He further stated that Guerrero had communicated with him via phone, giving directions and instructions throughout the night. The fallout and defendant's claims. The defendant continued to downplay his role, maintaining that he had acted under duress and had attempted to resist gang influence. Nevertheless, his connection to the Compton Varrio 70 and his role as the driver during the shootings placed him at the center of the violent events of that night. Throughout the investigation, the defendant remained evasive, claiming fear of retaliation from gang members and asserting that he had no choice but to comply with Guerrero's demands. The interrogation also revealed that the defendant had minimized his association with the CV70 gang, describing his involvement as minimal and claiming that he had no intent to participate in the gang's violent activities. However, the extent of his role in driving the shooters and his knowledge of Guerrero's influence over the night's events contradicted his efforts to distance himself from the CV70. The events of October 5, 2005, stand as a stark reminder of the pervasive influence of gang violence in Compton and the severe impact it has on rivalries between factions like the CV70 and Piru gangs. While the defendant portrayed himself as a reluctant participant, his actions as the driver facilitated a tragic series of attacks that left one Piru gang member dead, 2 individuals wounded, and an entire community shaken. This case serves as a testament to the challenges law enforcement faces in addressing gang-related violence and the struggles individuals encounter within these violent dynamics. A violent legacy. The long-standing gang rivalries and the tragic murder of Compton resident Kevin White. In the complex world of Compton's gang territory, intense rivalries and a need for respect and dominance create an atmosphere ripe with tension and violence. The Compton Varrio 70, CV70, and Looters Park Piru, Looters Park, gangs are among the primary groups engaged in this deadly struggle, each claiming overlapping areas in Compton, California. On November 27, 2002, these long-standing hostilities escalated when Kevin White, a member of the Natural Born Players, NBP, an ally of Looters Park, found himself at odds with CV70 members in a confrontation that ultimately cost him his life. The incident began innocuously enough. Early that day, White and his cousin, Brandon Buckhalter, were spray painting NBP symbols on walls and signs near the intersection of San Vicente Street and Bradfield Avenue. This act of defiance against CV70's territory included White's crossing out of CV70 graffiti, an unmistakable sign of disrespect that CV70 would not tolerate. Nearby, CV70 members David Guerrero, Jose Toledo, Jose Enciso, and Marcos Contreras were hanging out when Toledo heard about White's actions. Toledo entered Guerrero's house, retrieved a chrome revolver, and gathered Guerrero and the other members to pursue White and Buckhalter. In a blue Chevy Tahoe driven by Enciso, Guerrero and his companions located White and Buckhalter nearby. When Enciso brandished a handgun, White and Buckhalter ran, turning onto Palmer Street. A witness, a neighbor driving along Bradfield, later recalled seeing 2 men running and noticed a gun in the hand of one of the Tahoe's occupants. White and Buckhalter made their way to a friend's house, where Buckhalter took refuge. White, however, returned to the street and was soon confronted by Toledo and Contreras, who pursued him into a nearby yard, cornered him, and shot him 5 times with a revolver and semi-automatic gun. The young man lost his life on the scene, having paid the ultimate price in a war over respect and territory. Law enforcement took several years to unravel the events of that day and identify those responsible. Approximately 2 months after the murder, police found a semi-automatic handgun under the seat of a vehicle driven by Danny Guerrero, David Guerrero's brother, which was later determined to have ejected casings found at the crime scene. David Guerrero and Enciso were arrested in late 2005, with Toledo's arrest following shortly after. A breakthrough came in 2006 when Melina Rodriguez, Guerrero's girlfriend, was detained on a drug-related charge. During questioning, she recounted events from the day White was killed. She revealed that on the morning of the shooting, she was living with Guerrero and witnessed Toledo's urgency to obtain a gun from Guerrero after learning about White's actions. She recalled how he rushed back inside to grab a revolver and then followed Toledo outside, later hearing gunshots from a distance. Rodriguez's statements, though later recanted, played a crucial role in piecing together the circumstances of the shooting, with recorded clips of her interview becoming key evidence for the jury. As the case moved forward, additional details emerged that painted a vivid picture of the fierce rivalry between CV70 and Looters Park, with incidents dating back to 1998 fueling the animosity. CV70's gang activity was pervasive and violent, including crimes such as tagging, robbery, substance trafficking, car theft, and murder, according to sheriff's detectives Peter Hecht and Brian Steinwand, who served as gang experts for the prosecution. Their testimony shed light on the gang's demand for respect and the cultural importance of maintaining territorial integrity. They explained that crossing out a rival gang's graffiti is one of the highest forms of disrespect, often leading to violent retaliation to uphold the gang's authority. In their assessment, White's murder served to bolster CV70's reputation for violence and create a climate of fear that would discourage community members from cooperating with law enforcement. During trial proceedings, the defendants, including Guerrero, presented various alibis. Yet the overwhelming evidence, which included testimony from Buchalter identifying Toledo and Contreras as the shooters and linking Enciso and Guerrero to the vehicle, proved compelling for the jury. Convicted of first-degree murder with enhancements for gang affiliation and firearm use, Guerrero and his co-defendants faced harsh sentences. Guerrero received 50 years to life, with an additional 25 years for the gun enhancement, cementing a long sentence intended to deliver justice for life taken in a dispute over gang pride. This tragic episode illustrates the dangers of gang culture and the toll it takes not only on those involved but on entire communities. For those who seek respect through violence, the path often leads only to a cycle of loss, incarceration, and missed potential. The justice system's role in such cases underscores the importance of dismantling the network of fear and intimidation that gangs rely upon, affirming that no life should be taken in the name of territory or retribution. Cultural influence and legacy. The CV70's impact extends beyond criminal activities and gang violence. The gang has become a symbol of a certain kind of urban resilience within Los Angeles County. Their influence has permeated music, film, and media, often portraying the complex social dynamics of gang life in Compton. These representations shape public perceptions of gang culture, urban poverty, and the struggles many young people face within economically disadvantaged communities. Understanding the Compton Varrio 70s also offers insight into the deeper, systemic issues of crime, poverty, and youth culture in urban America. While law enforcement and community initiatives continue to make strides in reducing gang activity, the legacy of the CV70s underscores the long-lasting imprint gangs have on both their members and their neighborhoods. Current status and community impact. Although specific membership numbers fluctuate due to law enforcement crackdowns, shifting demographics, and community intervention programs, the Compton Varrio 70s remains a significant part of Compton's gang landscape. As one of the most feared and notorious Hispanic gangs in the area, their legacy is a testament to the ongoing challenges facing urban areas like Compton. Law enforcement and community organizations remain vigilant in addressing the gang's influence, yet the Compton Varrio 70s remains emblematic of a larger issue: a combination of poverty, lack of opportunities, and a sense of belonging sought by disenfranchised youth. In summary, the Compton Varrio 70s, with roots in the 1970s and a history of violent territorial battles, is more than just a gang. It's a reflection of the broader struggles within Compton and urban America. Understanding the factors that contribute to its persistence is crucial for any efforts aimed at disrupting the cycle of gang violence and providing alternative paths for the youth of Compton.